everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tails Crafts. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting the video off by choosing two winners from the Hug in a Mug launch video. Here are all the names of the commenters who left a comment on that video. I included the people that were a part of the premiere, and there was a really great turnout, so thank you to everyone who commented and liked that video. That really helps the YouTube gods show my video to other people. So yeah, here's all the names. I'm going to spin the wheel. For some reason the app was messing up and the names did not appear on the little tiles, but it did show at the top. So the first winner is Denise Bryant. Congratulations. And the second winner is, that was my cat. He's excited, for Nancy Lake. So congratulations to the winners. I will go ahead and reach out to you via YouTube comments, and then you can give me your email and I will send out a $50 gift card to each of you. So for today's video, I'm going to be using the Sweet Treats 6x8 stamp set from the latest release. I did film me coloring these, but the footage was corrupt, so I wasn't able to show the coloring portion, which is really sad. However, I have another video coming out in the next couple days where I use the exact same Copic markers, the same coloring technique. So in that video, hopefully you will see the coloring of the Coffee Love stamp set. I'll be featuring that set in the next video. So I'm making 4 cards today, and in my next video I'm going to be creating 4 cards with the Coffee Love stamp, and then I'll have one more video where I show 2 pop-up cards I made with my leftover die cuts. So there's going to be 3 videos total, so each stamp set is going to feature 5 cards each. I have not done a 5-card 1 stamp set video in quite some time, so I really enjoyed coloring all these images up, die cutting them, and building some cute and simple card designs. So you can see for my first card, I used a scalloped edge to create my own scalloped rectangle. That is because all of my basic shape dies are still at my house and I didn't feel like driving just to get a couple dies for this video. So my mom had this scalloped edge, so I just went around the whole panel and created my own. It's not perfect. You can see the edges don't really line up that well, but it got the job done. I liked how it turned out. There's some stitching detail to it, so I think it ends up looking pretty cute. So you saw there that I made a little scene using the cake stand and the glass dome for the top. I thought this was a really cute layout. I actually made this as a graphic for our Instagram hop, and I thought, why not recreate it on an actual card? So I am popping up a lot of the pieces with foam tape. Usually I like to cut extra die cuts, but I was on a time crunch here, so I just opted for foam tape. I decided to also include a chocolate covered strawberry, a raspberry, and a blackberry onto the cake stand. I thought that was kind of cute. And then below, just to fill in that area, I'm adding a couple little cookies. So this stamp set comes with a bunch of cute little sweet treats, and I ended up using every image from the stamp, including the little faces that you can add to the cookies. And the coordinating die set has dies that will also cut out the sentiments. So I went ahead and white heat embossed "You Are the Sweetest" on black cardstock and die cut it with the coordinating die. And then all I'm going to do is sprinkle some little dewdrops around my panel. And then I'm going to mat this. Well, first I'm going to cover my card base with some light blue cardstock. This is a 5x7 card. And I didn't line it up perfectly, so I'm going to just trim the sides a bit. And then I'm going to add a black mat on top. I love adding black. Whenever I have a black embossed sentiment, it's nice to have also a black mat. I just like how it draws your eye in. And then I'll go ahead and glue down my scalloped piece. And then that is going to complete my first card. Here is a close-up. I think it turned out really cute. So for my second card, I'm going to make a square 5x5 card, and I'm also going to pull in our new Scalloped Hearts die set and the Chocolate Truffles die set. So from the Scalloped Hearts, I cut the smallest scalloped heart from craft cardstock and the smallest pierced heart from some pattern paper. I'm going to pop up the pierced heart on top of the scalloped one, and then from the Chocolate Truffles die set, all I cut from that was the circular wrappers, and I thought it would be really cute to add the strawberries from the stamp set onto the wrappers and kind of create a chocolate box. So I was inspired by a design team member for this card. She used the scallop hearts the same way and added our chocolate truffles to them instead of the strawberries. So I have to give her credit. I thought that was such a cute idea. So I am going to pop up my strawberries. You can see that I cut my wrappers from red polka dot pattern paper and also vellum. You can't really see the vellum on camera, but I'm going to fluff up the wrappers, and it just adds a really cool effect to have the vellum mixed with the polka dots. At first I had 5 polka dot wrappers, but they ended up not looking like wrappers anymore because they all kind of merged as one blob. So you could definitely do 2 different pattern papers, but I really thought the vellum was adorable. And you can also offset the vellum and the pattern paper, so you can do 2 wrappers on 1 strawberry. I think that would be really cute too. In fact, I think that's what the design team member did. I will go ahead and link to Olga's original blog post so you can see how her card looks. It's super cute. So I like this layout. You can see I went ahead and fluffed up the edges of all those wrappers, and now I'm going to go ahead and glue them onto my heart. And on the vellum wrappers, I'm only adding glue behind the strawberry because you will see the glue through the vellum. And then I'm going to take a 4 3/4 inch square panel I cut from pattern paper, and I'm going to glue my chocolate box to the bottom right. And then I'm going to work on my sentiment. So I have a red card base here that I thought would tie in with the red wrappers, and I really like how that turned out. So again, I white heat embossed the sentiment, die cut it with its coordinating die, and I'm just going to pop it up with some foam tape and add it to the top left. And this says, "I love you very much," very fitting for this card. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is sprinkle some brown and red gems once I adhere it to my card base. I recently purchased some Spellbinders 100-pound cardstock. It is pretty pricey, but I really like the storage pockets they come in. So I'm going to use up every little scrap and keep them all in that original packaging. So here are my gems. These are by Lucy's Cards. I sprinkled a few by the sentiment just to fill in that space, and then a couple on the actual chocolate box. And that will complete my second design. I think this one's my favorite. I just love red, pink, and brown together. All right, so for my third card, I'm going to make a mini slimline card. I'm definitely experimenting a lot with different card sizes in today's video. So I have a scalloped border that I cut from turquoise cardstock. I cut that from our intricate lace borders die set. I am using a pretty busy pattern paper here, so I wanted a solid color to kind of break it up and to help my stamped images pop out. So I did struggle a little bit on the layout of this design. I knew I wanted to stack up those cookies, which you see I just did there. And then I just had to figure out what other stamped images I wanted to use to build a little scene with. And I ended up moving this entire scene the opposite way. So you're going to see I'm going to flip it. And so the die cuts are going to be glued to the pattern paper, and that blue panel at the top is going to be where my sentiment will go. And I like this better because the stamped images cover a lot of the pattern, but you can still see it peeking through. So I went ahead and stacked up all my cookies, and now I'm arranging the rest of my die cut elements, and I'm going to piece them together. So basically glue them so that I have one solid piece that I can flip around and add my foam tape to. And the little candy hearts are included in the stamp set, but I stamped little sentiments on them from the Sweet Bear 4x6 stamp set. You can leave them as regular hearts, but I thought making them into candy hearts was really cute. So I went ahead, added my foam tape behind this piece, and then it still was missing something, so I took that same scallop border I used on card 1 and just die cut the top of it. And here I have the slimline birdhouse pop-up. I'm going to use the hearts from that set to die cut a little heart where I can stamp my sentiment. So I cut the frame from white cardstock and the inner heart from some light pink plaid pattern paper. And I am going to cut apart one of my sentiments. This says, "You bake me crazy." You definitely don't have to cut your stamps. I know some people freak out over it, and sometimes I do. I'm in different moods about it. Sometimes I'll do it, and sometimes I'll take the time to ink it up twice. But in this case, I just went ahead and cut it. So I did stamp that out with Memento Tuxedo black ink. I'm going to flip this around and using some Scotch tape both of these pieces together so that I can pop the whole thing up. And then that will go on the top left part of the card. And then I have those same dewdrops I'm going to sprinkle around the sentiment. I love that these are clear, but they just add a little bit of interest. And then this will be glued on a white card base. But when I went to add it, because I cut that scallop at the top was shorter than the bottom. So I went ahead and took that same pattern paper that's on the bottom of the card and glued it to the top so that it was one continuous panel and the white edge all around will be even. And then that will complete card number 3. I think this one is so cute. I love the color scheme I went with: brown, pink, red, and turquoise. All right, so for my final card, I'm going to create a shaker slimline. So I thought it would be easier to create my shakers first. So I die cut that same heart frame from white cardstock 3 times, and then I'm going to add 2 layers of foam tape behind each one of them. I went ahead and already added my acetate behind the frame before adding my foam tape. And now I'm just going around the entire heart, and if you remove the backing on your Scotch 3M, you can easily manipulate it. And I'm just going to use some clear iridescent sequins for this. I didn't want it to be too distracting. So this is just going to add some really pretty shine. Again, I'm going to take that pink plaid pattern paper that I've pretty much used on all the cards and add that as my backer, and then trim off the excess. And that creates a really simple shaker. I did that 2 more times, and you can see I have my cake pops that I'm going to pair with them. And I'm also going to cut another scalloped rectangle all the way around this slimline panel, which I die cut from pattern paper. Again, this doesn't create a perfect scalloped edge, but I think it's still cute. All right, so I'm going to space my hearts, and then I'm going to add my cake pops to the left of each one. I think these cake pops are adorable. Again, this card was inspired by another design team member, Eilena, so I will have her post linked down below as well. So it was missing something. I felt like the pattern was too much, so I wanted to add another color. So I had that same scallop border by Scrappy Tails that I die cut, and then at the bottom of it I die cut that scallop so that it matched my panel. And I'm going to glue that to the bottom. Now I should have used that scallop to cut the sides as well, but I didn't. So I'm just going to cut around the panel with my scissors. And I think this just kind of separates the pattern a bit more and adds a little bit of interest. I don't know, whenever I think of Valentine cards, for some reason I think of scallops. So I love that each of the cards kind of has its own little scallop going on. All right, so I'm going to glue my cake pops to the left side of my hearts, and then I will flip them around and add some foam tape behind the overhanging areas on the cake pops, just so that everything is nice and even. Okay, and then again, I white heat embossed my sentiment on black cardstock, and this time I just cut it into a strip and added foam tape behind it. I felt like the strip was more substantial and it stood out more. I glued it to the left side. I thought about gluing it in the center to keep everything symmetrical, but I kind of like the asymmetry going on. And then I took those same iridescent sequins and glued them from the bottom left to the top right. I love gluing my sequins in a diagonal for some reason. And this, again, I love the shine from these sequins. I don't usually use sequins as embellishments unless they're iridescent. They're just really pretty. All right, so again, I'm going to mat this on some black cardstock, and this is sized to my card base, which is 8 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then that will finish off my last card design. So stay tuned. I will have the Coffee Love stamp in my next video, where I hopefully will also show you the coloring. It's the exact same color scheme. So I'm hoping that I will showcase that next time. I'm also going to have 2 pop-up cards, one shadow box and one slimline. I had a lot of fun with both stamp sets. I will have all the supplies that I used linked down below. Know that if you purchase anything, you're supporting my small business. I did draw all these images, and it's so fun to actually get to use my own products. Yeah. Okay, so I hope you all have a great weekend, or I guess rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye!